How many questions do we solve on taxation of specialized business last week?
2, sir.
2. Okay. So we have, that means we have done taxation of specialized business. Under the taxation of specialized business, I mentioned different businesses that there is a special provision as regards to their tax computation. One of them is taxation of airline, shippings, and telecommunication company. We have another one. We have another one called taxation of banks. We also have another one, taxation of insurance business. We also have another one, taxation of real estate, taxation on pension fund and trusts, pension fund and unit trusts. So for last week, we have done taxation of airline, shippings, and telecommunication company. So do we introduce taxation of bank last week?
No, you said we are not.
Okay, taxation of banks. So this week, we will look at how do we tax bank, taxation of bank. That is what we are going to look at.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you gave us an assignment last week.
Okay.
But I checked after doing it, I checked for the solution in the PDF. But for the Nigeria adjusted profit, the Nigeria adjusted profit that I got is different from the one in your solution. So I don't know if you can quickly look at it. I don't know where the problem is from, but the calculation I did is different from the solution that you have.
Okay. What you will do is maybe you can send me WhatsApp. Send the solution to me. So I will explain why there is a difference.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So taxation of banks in Nigeria, how do we tax banks? We should know that banks, they are subjected to tax in the same way and manner in which other incorporated companies are subjected to tax. Essentially, banks are liable to tax under company income tax. That means the major tax bank pay, they pay company income tax. They will also pay education tax. They will also pay police development levy, and they will pay NICTA. However, for the banks, they are required to file a returns about their customers. Every corporate account opened by bank every month, they need to file a return to the tax authority. What are the returns tax authority need on the corporate account opened by bank? They need the tax identification number of the account of the customers. If a company open an account with banks, law requires that banks should file returns every month, at least every month, that all the customers that open an account with them in the last month, this is their tax identification number. So they need to file that. So it's part of the returns bank file, apart from company income tax return. Now, before we go to taxation of bank, let's look at, according to IFRS 15, let's look at income of a bank. Those income that IFRS 15 stated, those are the income that are subjected to tax. Income of a bank. One of the income or revenue of a bank is account and transactional fees, transaction fee, account and transaction fee. This is one of the income that bank generates. Bank also receive income from advisory fee. underwriting fee, management fee, administrative fee, account and transactional fee, insurance commission, account maintenance fee. Apart from all this, bank also generates income from interest. The primary income of a bank, the primary source of income of a bank is coming from interest on loan. So bank generates interest on loan. Aside that, bank also have interest from investment. Bank may invest on a fixed assets, security, rent of building, sales of building. So they have other source of income. So there are so many sources of income of a bank. So according to Company Income Tax Act, however, there are some income received by bank that are not subjected to tax. These are the non-taxable income of a bank. Income received by bank that are not subjected to tax. These are the what? Non-taxable income of a bank. So number one of such income received by bank that are not subjected to tax is interest received by bank on federal government and state government security. Federal government and state government security. Federal government and state government security. When a bank subscribes for treasury bill, development stock, bonds, when they receive interest from such investment, such interest is not subjected to tax. It's a non-taxable income. So if a bank receives interest from federal government or state government security, such interest is not subjected to tax. Another income of a bank not subjected to tax is profit on disposal of fixed assets. Profits on disposal of fixed assets. As we all know, if a company dispose fixed assets, when they make a profit, such profit is not subjected to company income tax. Rather, is subjected to another type of tax called what? What type of tax will profit on disposal of fixed assets subject to?
Capital gains, sir.
Capital gain tax. So this one too apply to bank. If a bank dispose fixed assets, if they make a profit, such profit is not subjected to company income tax. So it's a non-taxable income. Another one is dividends received by bank will be treated as a frank investment income. Dividends received by bank is also a non-taxable income of a bank. If a bank receives dividends from investments, from a shares, such dividends will not be subjected to tax because dividends is a frank investment income. Who can explain frank investment income to us? Frank investment income, that there are those income that are subjected to tax at source, and such tax deducted at source is a final tax. That means when a company that declare dividends are paying dividends to the shareholder, they will have deducted withholding tax. That withholding tax deducted from the dividends paid to the shareholder. It is the net that they pay to the shareholder, and they will remit the withholding tax to the tax authority. That withholding tax deducted on that dividend is a final tax. That means that dividend cannot subjected to another type of tax again in the hand of the receiver. That is what frank investment means. Frank investment income means those income that are subjected to tax at source or at origination, and the tax deducted at source is regarded as final tax. That means such income will not be subjected to any further tax again. So dividends too is one of the non-taxable income or income exempted from tax received by bank. Another one, interest earned on foreign placement. Interest earned on foreign placement. Interest earned on foreign placement. If a bank have a foreign investment, if they receive interest on that foreign investment, before they pay them the interest on that foreign investment, the foreign tax authority will have collected tax on it. So if a bank take the investment to Nigeria, that interest earned will not be subjected to tax, provided that such interest is brought back to Nigeria through approved channel. Provided that such interest is brought back to Nigeria through what? Approved channel. So such interest will not be subjected to tax. So interest earned on foreign placement. Foreign placement means foreign investment will not be subjected to tax, provided that it is brought back into Nigeria through approved channel, through government approved channel. Another one is interest earned by bank, interest on loan granted by bank to a company engaged in cottage industry. Interest on loan granted by bank to a company engaged in what? Cottage industry under Family Economic Advancement Program. Interest earned by bank to a company engaged in cottage industry under Family Economic Advancement Program. It will be exempted from tax, provided that the moratorium period is not less than 12 months and the interest rate is no more than the base lending rate. If a bank receives interest from a loan granted to a company engaged in cottage industry under Family Economic Advancement Program, such interest received by bank will be exempted from tax, provided that the moratorium period is not less than 12 months. Moratorium period means grace period. That one means when you collect a loan, the grace period given to you before you start paying, maybe 1 year. It is after 1 year you start paying the loan. That is moratorium period. Such interest will not be subjected to tax, provided that the moratorium period is not less than 12 months. And the interest rate charged by that bank is not more than the base lending rate fixed by the CBN. And the interest rate charged by the bank is not more than the base lending rate fixed by the CBN. So such kind of loan too will be exempted from tax. Such kind of interest on loan too will be exempted from tax. Another one. Interest on a loan granted by bank to a company engaged in fabrication of plants, local plants and machinery. Interest on a loan granted by bank to a company engaged in fabrication of local plants, machinery, and tools. That interest too shall be exempted from tax, provided that the moratorium period is not less than 18 months and the interest rate provided that the moratorium period is not less than 18 months and the interest rate is not more than what? The base lending rate. That means if a bank give a loan to a company engaged in fabrication of local plant and machinery, such loan too will be exempted from, such interest on the loan too will be exempted from tax if the moratorium period is not less than 12 months and the interest rate is not more than the base lending rate at the time the loan is granted. So this one too will be exempted from tax. Another interest exempted from tax. Another income or interest exempted. Interest on a loan granted by bank to a company engaged in primary agricultural production. Interest on a loan granted by a bank to a company engaged in what? Primary agricultural production shall be exempted from tax. Interest on a loan granted by a bank to a company engaged in primary agricultural business, agricultural production. Primary agricultural production simply means a company that produce that normally plant crop. They are into plantation of crop, plantation of corn, plantation of cassava, plantation of all kinds of crops. And a company also engaged in livestock farming, rearing of animal, rearing of poultry farming, rearing of goats. They are the primary agricultural business. If a bank gives such kind of a company a loan, that loan, the interest received on that loan will not be subjected to tax, provided that the moratorium period is not less than 12 months and the interest rate is not more than the base lending rate at the time the loan is granted. Another one, which is the last one, is interest on a loan granted by a bank to a company engaged in manufacturing goods for exports. Interest on a loan granted by a bank to a company engaged in what? Manufacturing goods for export. If a company engaged in manufacturing goods for export, such kind of interest, a company that normally manufacture goods and export it, most especially company located in the export processing zone, if a bank give them a loan, the interest on that loan shall be exempted from tax based on the following condition. Interest on the loan granted to a company engaged in manufacturing goods for export shall be exempted from tax based on what? The following condition. One of the conditions is the company producing the good for export must export at least 50% of the good manufactured, and such good exported must not re-exported back. Such good exported must not re-exported back. Moratorium, somebody is asking, what is moratorium period? Moratorium period means grace period. When you are giving a loan, grace period given by your lender, your bank that give you a loan, that please, within 3 months, you will not start paying. It is after 3 months you start paying. That is moratorium period. That means you are going to use the money. It will give you time to use the money for business before you start paying. That is moratorium period. Now, let's go back to interest on a loan granted to a company engaged in manufacturing goods for export. Number one condition is that company must export at least 50% of the good manufactured, and such good must not be exported back to Nigeria. Number one condition is that company, for the loan to be exempted from tax, if a bank gives loan to a company that engage in manufacturing goods for export, for such a loan to be exempted from tax, the company that produce the good for export must export at least 50% of the good manufactured, and such good must not be re-exported back to Nigeria. Another thing is Another condition is certificate of export must be obtained by the company from Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Certificate of export must be obtained by the company from Nigeria Export Promotion Council. So, certificate of export must be obtained by the company from Nigeria Export Promotion Council. Why? Number 3 condition, the rate of exemption shall be as follows. Look at the table. The rate of exemption shall be as follows. What is the rate of exemption? If a bank give a loan to manufacturing goods for export, if the loan is above 7 years, the moratorium period must not less than 2 years. That means 70% of the interest on the loan will be exempted from tax. But if the loan is between 5 to 7 years, but if the loan is between what? 5 to 7 years. If the loan is between 5 to 7 years, the moratorium period must not less than 12 months. That means if the moratorium period is not less than 12 months, that means 40% of the interest on the loan will be exempted from tax. Another one, if the loan is between 2 to 4 years, the moratorium period must not less than 12 months. If the moratorium period is not less than 12 months, that means 10% of the interest on loan, 10% of that interest received by bank on the loan will be exempted from tax. Any loan given below 2 years, there will not be exemption. There is no moratorium period, no exemption. So every loan given below 2 years to manufacturing goods for export, the interest on such loan will be subjected to tax. Hope this is clear. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? So, ladies and gentlemen, please, let's know at least 7 non-taxable income of a bank. Number 1 non-taxable income of a bank I mentioned is interest received on a federal government and state government security, like treasury bill, treasury certificate, development stock, bond, etc. Another one that I mentioned is dividends received by bank will be treated as frank investment income. That means it should not be subjected to tax in the hand of the company, in the hand of the bank. Another one is interest. Another one is profit on disposal of fixed assets. We all know that even in a normal company, if a company make a profit on disposal of fixed assets, such profit is not due for capital gain. It's not subjected to tax. It's not subjected to company income tax. Another one is interest on a loan granted by bank to a company engaged in cottage industry under Family Economic Advancement Program. We also have another one called interest on a loan granted by bank to a company engaged in primary agricultural business. That one, the moratorium period must not less than 12 months and the interest rate must not more than base lending rate. We also have another one, interest on a loan granted to a company engaged in fabrication of local plant and machinery. That one, the interest rate must not less than 18 months, while the moratorium period must not more than the moratorium period must not less than 18 months, while the interest rate must not more than the base lending rate. That is what we have on a non-taxable income of a bank. Now, for bank, we have some disallowable expenses relating to bank. Generally, all those general disallowable expenses, who can name 5 examples of disallowable expenses to me? 5 examples of disallowable expenses. Who can name that? Oh, yeah, now.
Depreciation.
Depreciation.
Uh,
Loss on disposal of his assets. Capital expenditure.
General provisions.
General provision for bad debt. Entertainment of family and friends. Donation to unapproved bodies. All these disallowable expenses I mentioned is also applicable to banks too. When you see them in the expenses of banks too, you disallow them. Aside that, there are some expenses that are peculiar to banks that you normally see them in the financial statement of a bank. And if bank incur those expenses in their financial statements, you disallow those expenses. We call it special disallowable expenses of a bank. What are the special disallowable expenses of a bank? Those one relate to bank specifically. Number one is increase in provision for performing loan. Prudential guideline issued by CBN said, bank, you should be making provision for performing loan and non-performing loan. If a bank make provision for performing loan and we see it in the expenses, we are going to disallow it as disallowable expenses. In tax, we don't recognize provision for performing loan. We only recognize provision for non-performing loan. Another one is increase in provision for advances under finance lease. Increase in provision for advances under finance lease. If you see that in the expenses of a bank, that they make provision for advances under finance lease, you disallow that expenses. It's not allowed under the tax law. Another one is increase in provision for account receivable. If a bank make provision for account receivable, you disallow it in the expenses of a bank. It's a disallowable expenses. Increase in provision for diminution in value of investment too. It's a disallowable expenses. Unrealized exchange loss too. It's a disallowable expenses. Increase in provision for off-balance sheet engagements too. It's a disallowable expenses. Hope this is clear. All these are special disallowable expenses of a bank. All these are special what? Disallowable expenses of a bank. Now, let's look at computation. How do we compute question in bank? Question 3. Somebody should help us read. Question 3.
The interest on loan relating to semi-agricultural production included in the income of ABC Bank Limited for the year ended December 31st, 2021 amounted to 5 million naira. The breakdown of the interest income based on the loan terms are as follows. All figures are assumed to be correct. Base lending rate in respect of the facilities is 21% per annum. The prior compute the loan interest exempted from tax.
Okay, loan interest exempted from tax. This bank, ABC Bank, what type of loan, what type of business that they give loan in this question? They give a company of business, primary agricultural works,
Production.
primary agricultural production. They give them a loan. The interest on that loan is 5 million naira. Out of this 5 million naira interest on this loan, we want to look at the one that will be exempted from tax. That is what the examiner is asking us. The first loan given to a company engaged in primary agricultural business, it has 5 years repayment period. Is this exempted from tax or subjected to tax? Is it exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Exempted from tax.
Why is it exempted from tax? What are the two conditions that if a bank give a loan to a Greek business, for the loan not to be subjected to tax, it has to pass how many conditions? 2 conditions. If you go back to our note, it has to pass 2 conditions. What are the 2 conditions? First is
12 months moratorium is allowed.
the moratorium period
For 12 months, at least.
must not less than what?
12 months.
And the interest rate charged by the bank
Not more than.
must not more than the base lending rate. Let's go back to this question. Look at the question. Question 3. Look at the question. The first loan that was given, 5 years is the repayment period, but the moratorium period is 24 months. The interest rate is 15%. Mind you, the base lending rate is how much? How many percent? The base lending rate is 21%. So, this interest of 2.5 million, is it subjected to tax or exempted from tax?
Exempted.
Why is it exempted?
Because moratorium is more than 12 months and the interest rate is less than 21%.
That means it passed the 2 conditions. The moratorium period is more than 12 months. The law says the moratorium period must not less. It can be more, must not less than 12 months. And this one is 24 months. 24 is more than 12 months. It's good. Second said the interest rate must not more than the base lending rate. Look at the interest rate charged on this loan. How many percent? 15%. How many percent is the base lending rate in this question?
21%.
It's not more than it. That means it will be exempted from tax. So look at my solution. ABC Bank Limited. Computation of interest exempted from tax for 2022 year of assessment. You will write again repayment period, moratorium period, interest rate, interest amount, interest exempted from tax. The first one, 2.5 million. Since it is exempted from tax, I will put it under interest exempted from tax. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
The second one, let's look at the second one. 3 years, moratorium period 6 months, interest rate 20%. Is he exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Subjected to tax.
Subjected to tax. Subjected.
Why is he subjected?
Because
Moratorium period is less than 12 months.
12 months.
Moratorium period is less than 12 months. So that one is subjected to tax. So if you look at my solution, I put under interest exempted from tax for this one, 0. It's not exempted from tax. That means it's subjected to tax. That is the reason why I put 0 in my solution. The third one, 2 years, 18 months, 14%, subjected or exempted.
Exempted.
Subjected. Eh?
Exempted.
Why is he exempted?
That's 18 months moratorium and 14% interest rate.
So that means this one is exempted.
Qualified.
Is exempted. You can see under exempted, I put 700, interest exempted. The last one, 5 years. It must pass at least 2 conditions, not 1 condition. No. At least 2 conditions. Somebody asked a question. Must it be at least 1 condition? No. 2/2. It must pass the 2 conditions. If it pass 1 condition, if it doesn't pass another condition, it will not be exempted. Look at this one. 5 years. Moratorium period, 6 months. Interest rate, 35%. Is he exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Subjected
to tax.
It doesn't pass the 2 conditions. It is subjected to tax. So the total interest exempted from tax for my computation, out of 5 million interest, 3.2 million will be exempted from tax. That means how much will be subjected to tax? Since 3.2 million is exempted from tax,
1.8.
out of that means how much should be subjected to tax?
1.8 million.
1.8 million. That is that. Let's look at this one again. We are Prosperity Bank PLC. I've been in business, banking business.
How is there the 1.8 million?
The interest on loan, on agreed loan, included in the account of the bank for the year ended 31st December 2022 amounted to 18.2 million. So 7 years, 36 months, 14%, 7.2. So the base lending rate is 15%. You are required. State the condition under which the following interest may be exempted from tax. What is the condition that interest on loan for agreed business will be exempted from tax? What are the 2 conditions?
Must not be more than the base lending rate, interest rate. And the moratorium period must not be less than 12 months.
Okay. Number, that is question A. Question A, Roman figure 1. Question A, Roman figure 2 said, what is the condition for interest on loan for manufacturing goods for export must be exempted from tax? What are the conditions?
At least 50% of the goods produced must be exported and they must not be re-exported.
Okay. Another one.
Also, they must
Certificate
get the certificate from the export
of export
Nigerian
must
Export
be obtained
Council or
from
something.
Nigeria Export Promotion Council. And we have the rate of exemption. Now, B part of the question said we should calculate the interest exempted from tax. So, how much interest will be exempted from tax under this? Let's look at the first one. 7 years, 36 months, 14%. Is it exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Exempted.
Exempted.
Because the moratorium period is more than 12 months. The interest rate is less than base lending rate. The second one, 18 months, 18%. Exempted or subjected?
Subjected.
Subjected. Why do we subject it? It's because of the interest rate.
Yes.
The interest rate is more than the base lending rate. I mean, in terms of the moratorium period, it is good, but the interest rate is not good. I mean, the third one, is this subjected or exempted?
Exempted.
Yes, it passed the two conditions. More than 12 months, 24 months. 12%, less than 15%. Fourth one, the fourth one,
Subjected.
it is subjected because the moratorium period is less than 12 months. So now let's go to the real question in bank. We have a real question in bank. Real question in bank. That those are the main. This one is just a peripheral. So let's go to the real question in bank. We have to solve two real questions in bank. Two real questions in bank. We'll start with the simplest one before we go to the main one, and we must solve the two. The first one that we look at, question 10, New Era Bank. Somebody can help us read. Question 10, New Era Bank. That is page 62. Question 10, page 62, New Era Bank. Oh yeah. Somebody should help us read.
New Era Bank PLC has been in business for many years. Its profit or loss account for the year ended 31st December 2020 is as follows. All figures are assumed to be correct.
Okay, thank you.
Roll it up.
Required.
Required.
Let me read it on my own. Let me read it on my own. Thank you very much. New Era Bank has been in business for many years. Its profit and loss account for the year ended 31st December 2020 is as follows. We have interest on agreed loan. We have part of the income first. The income area first. Under the income, number one income that they have is interest on agreed loan. Number two, interest on export loan. Number three, interest on overdraft. Number four, foreign exchange income. Number five, lease finance income, fees and commission. They also have profit on sale of fixed assets. Their total income is 585,450,000. They have 1,000 up. They now have expenses. Their expenses, number one expenses is interest expenses, depreciation, loan and advances written off, general provision for loan losses, specific provision for loan losses, general and administrative expenses. The net profit in this question is 92,850,000. Additional info. The general and admin expenses include the following. That general admin expenses in our expenses, they want to give us the breakdown, what it includes. Number one of it is what? Salaries and wages, directors' remuneration, penalty for contravention of bank regulation, audit fee, office rent and rates, electricity, stationaries, repairs and maintenance, legal expenses. Under the legal expenses, they have loan recovery, filing, late filing of return, tax return, acquisition of landed property, stamp duties on increase in share capital. That is under the legal expenses. Aside that, they have another one called launch vouchers. For the donation, under the donation, they have donation to National Library, donation to Apapa Social Club, donations to sponsorship for Calabar Carnival, donation to University of Benin Teaching Hospitals. Capital allowance and balancing charge for the year ended 31st December 2020 amounted to 98 million and 2.4 million respectively. All loans granted by bank for agreed trading or business has no moratorium or grace period. Schedule of interest on the loan granted for manufacturing goods for export is as follows. Repayment period, grace period. Grace period means moratorium period. Amount of interest we are given. Required, compute the tax liability for the bank for the relevant year of assessment. We are asked to compute the tax liability for the bank for the relevant year of assessment. So how do we compute the tax liability? How do we compute the tax liability? Now, if we want to compute the tax liability, we have to start with net profit. Net what? Profit. The net profit, we add back the salary expenses to the net profit. We add back what? The salary expenses. So let's look at those expenses. Which one is disallowed among them? In the question, look at the expenses. Number one, the salary expenses we have is what?
Depreciation.
Depreciation. Depreciation. Number two is what?
Loan and advances written off.
No, loan and advances written off is allowed.
General
Bad debt written off. The only one that is disallowed is
General provision.
general provision for loan losses.
For loan losses.
General what? Provision for loan losses.
Provision for loan losses.
General provision for loan losses is just like general provision for bad debt. What about specific provision for loan losses? Is it allowed or disallowed?
allowed.
It is allowed. It's just like specific provision for bad debt. Do we understand? Now, inside the general expense, general and administrative expenses, let's look at those ones under the general and administrative expenses that may be disallowed. Salaries and wages, is it allowed or disallowed?
It's allowed.
It is allowed.
Yes, yes, it is allowed.
Is allowed, not disallowed.
Yes, allowed.
Director remuneration is allowed.
Allowed.
Yes.
Penalty for contravention of bank regulation
Not allowed.
Disallowed.
Allowed.
It is not allowed. Anytime you pay fines and penalties in whatever form, fines and penalty in whatever form is not allowed. Do you understand? Fines and penalty in whatever form is not allowed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Audit fee. Is audit fees allowed?
Yes.
Allowed.
Office rent and rent, is it allowed?
Allowed.
Allowed. Another one, stationery, postage and telephone, is it allowed?
Allowed.
Repairs and maintenance, is it allowed?
Allowed.
The next one is under legal expenses. They incur legal expenses for loan recovery to recover their loan from their customer. Is that legal expenses allowed?
Yes.
Allowed.
Yes.
Allowed.
They also incur legal expenses for late filing of tax return. They pay
Disallowed.
for filing.
Not allowed.
No.
It is not allowed because it's a fine. Why do you late to file your tax return? Do you understand? Acquisition of landed property, is it
Not
allowed?
allowed. No.
Not
Why is it
allowed.
not allowed?
It's capital expenditure.
Because it's a capital expenditure. It's capital expenditure. Stamp duties on increase in share capital, is it allowed?
Disallowed.
It is allowed. It is not allowed. Share capital is not an expenses. It's a balance sheet item. So it's not allowed. Luncheon voucher. What do you mean by luncheon voucher? Voucher given to your staff, your company staff, so that they will be eating free in the staff canteen. Is it allowed?
Yes.
Allowed.
Allowed.
It is allowed. Lunch
Allowed.
voucher, you are free to give your staff food so that they can work very well, so that company will generate more revenue. Abi? So it is allowed. So the one that is not allowed among them, stamp duties, not allowed. Acquisition of landed property, not allowed. Fines, not allowed. Penalties for contravention, this one too, not allowed. Under the donation now, donation to National Library, is it allowed?
Yes.
Allowed.
Donation to Apapa Social Club. I belong to Apapa Social Club. It's my club.
No.
Is it not allowed?
Not allowed.
No. Allowed.
Huh?
Not allowed.
Why will you not allow Apapa Social Club?
Because I remember that.
We don't know them. We don't know about social club.
It is not allowed. Sponsorship of Calabar Carnival.
No,
Is it
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Calabar Carnival is one of the most common carnival in the way. It's very interesting. Government support it. Why is it not allowed? It is not for government. It's a social something. It is not allowed, my people. Don't let me convince you. It's not allowed. What about donation to University of Benin teaching hospitals?
it is allowed.
It's allowed because University of Benin teaching hospital is owned by who?
Government.
Government. You can donate to public institution. You can donate to University of Lagos. Donate to university. But if you donate to convenient university, is it allowed?
No.
Not allowed. It's allowed.
So we have identified those expenses that is not allowed in our solution now.
Sorry, sir, before you go forward, what if it was for a state university? Is it allowed?
It's allowed. Since it's a government, it's allowed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anything government is allowed, my brother. So let's go to the requirement. New Era Bank PLC. Tax computation for 2021 year of assessment. The year end is 2020. That means the year of assessment is 2021. The net profit in the question is 92,850,000. We add back the salary expenses. Number one, the salary expenses we have is what? Depreciation. We also add general provision for loan losses, 12,300. Penalty for contravention of banking regulation, we add it back. Fines for late filing of what? Tax return, we also add it back. Acquisition of landed property, we also add it back. Stamp duties on increase in share capital, we also add it back. Apapa Social Club, also added back. Sponsorship of Calabar Carnival, we add it back. When you add all your disallowable expenses together, it will give you 42,030,000. We have looked at income. You know, if you want to compute adjusted profit, add disallowable expenses, less what?
Less disallowable income.
Less non-taxable
income.
Non-taxable income. You have tried. Add disallowable expenses, less non-what? Non-taxable income. Non-taxable income. We have looked at the expenses side. Let's go and look at the income side. There may be some income that is not subjected to tax. Number one, income side. The first thing we have in the income side, number one thing that we have is interest on what?
Agricultural loan.
Interest on agric loan. If we are giving interest on agric loan, we are not giving a note regarding it. Are we going to subject it to tax or exempt it?
Exempt it.
Subject to tax. If we are not giving a note that will make us exempt it to tax. They just write interest on agric loan, 27 million. They did not tell us the moratorium period. They did not tell us the interest rate. Are we going to subject it to tax or exempt it to tax?
Subject it to tax.
We will subject it to tax. Since we are not giving additional information that will make us exempt it. You know, if a bank give a Greek company a loan, for the loan not to be subjected to tax, it must pass through conditions. Abi? The interest rate must not more than the base lending rate, and the moratorium period must not less than 12 months. Let's check whether there is any additional note on a Greek loan. Let's check. There is a note. Look at the notes. Look at the notes. All loan granted by the bank for agri trading has no what?
No
Has
moratorium.
no
Moratorium.
Moratorium
grace
of
period.
grace period.
Based on this information, is it subjected to tax or exempted from tax?
Subjected.
It is subjected because the law said the moratorium period must not less than 12 months. This one doesn't have any moratorium period at all. Second income we have is what? Interest on what? Export loan, 12,000. Are we giving the breakdown? If we are giving the breakdown, we will check whether it will be exempted or subjected. Are we giving the breakdown? We are giving the breakdown.
Yes.
Look at the breakdown. That 12,000, how they get it? They give us. It is given to us. How they get the 12,000? Look at it. Schedule of interest on a loan granted for manufacturing goods for export is as follows. The repayment period, moratorium period, which is the grace period, the interest amount.
But please change the color. Change the color. It's not good.
Okay, it's not good.
No.
It's not clear. Okay, this one is fine. Yeah,
This one,
that's
Let
good.
the white remain.
this one is clear like this.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, it's fine like this.
It's okay like this. It's okay like this.
It's okay.
Yes.
So the grace period, the interest. Now, based on this given to us, we go and do a working note to determine how much out of this 12 million, how much will be exempted from tax. Out of this 12 million, how much will be exempted from tax? Look at my working note. Interest exempted from tax on export loan. Repayment period, grace period, interest amount, the rate of exemption, the interest that will be exempted from tax. The repayment period is above 7 years. First one, the repayment period is above what? 7 years, Abi? I'm talking of this one, 7 years. The moratorium period is not less than 2 years. It's okay. How much is the interest amount? 6,700, which is 6,700,000. Out of this 6,700,000, how many percentage will be exempted from tax? Based on the table for export loan, there is a particular table for export loan.
70%.
Let me show you the table again for better understanding. The table for the export loan. Look at it. Any loan given by company to export company that is above 7 years, the moratorium period must not less than 2 years. That 70% of that interest on the loan will be exempted from tax. If it is 5 to 7 years, 40%. 2 to 4 years, 10%. So let's go back to our question. So above 7 years, the interest amount is 6.7 million. That means 70% of 6.7 million, it will be 4,690,000. That will be exempted from tax. Out of 6.7 million, 4,690,000 will be exempted from tax. Another one, 5 to 7 years. The moratorium period is not less than 18 months. The interest on the loan is 1.5. Out of the 1.5, 40% of 1.5, 600. That means 600 will be exempted from tax. The next one, 2 to 4 years. Out of 2 to 4 years, the moratorium period is not less than 12 months. 10% of it will be exempted from tax. That means a total of 5,425,000 will be the interest on export loan exempted from tax. Interest on export loan exempted from tax. So if you look at, after my add the salary expenses, I say deduct non-taxable income, less non-taxable income. One of the non-taxable income that will not be subjected to tax is interest on export loan. Which is 5,425,000. Let's go back to the income side. In the income side again, after interest on export loan, interest on overdraft and other loan, is it exempted from tax or subjected? It is subjected to tax. Foreign exchange, it is subjected to tax. Lease finance income, it is subjected to tax. Fees and commissions too, it is subjected to tax. Profits on sale of fixed assets, is it exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Exempted.
Exempted from company income.
So we treat it as part of
CGT.
As part of non-taxable income. You can see profit on sale of fixed assets under non-taxable income. So my non-taxable income, I will bracket them. For me to get my adjusted profit, my net profit is 92,850,000 plus the total disallowable expenses, 42,030,000. I will now less 450,000 profit on sale of fixed assets. I will also less interest on export loan, 5,425,000. At the end of the day, my adjusted profit will be 129,005. That will be my adjusted profit. From this, I will add balancing charge. I will add what? Balancing charge. In the question, there is a balancing charge in the question. Capital allowance and balancing charge. I think my colleague, Mr. Chris, have discussed capital allowance. When you have balancing charge in the question, you add it to the adjusted profit. I will add balancing charge. If I add balancing charge, my accessible profit will be 131,405. I will now less capital allowance. How much is my capital allowance in the question? The capital allowance is 98 million. 98 million. I will less it if I have to less the capital allowance. The profit I have on grant is 131,405,000. If I said I should less all this capital allowance from it, the profit that will be remaining will be small. It's going to be small. Sometimes the capital allowance we may have may be more than the profit available. Take for instance, maybe the capital allowance is 141,000. The profit available is 131,000. You know, if you minus the capital allowance from the profit, it will turn to negative. That means the company will not pay tax. Abi? Regarding capital allowance, there is a law of restriction. Regarding capital allowance, there is a law of what? Restriction. Anytime you have too much of capital allowance, when your capital allowance is high, you restrict it to 2/3 of the profit. 2/3 of what? Of the profit you want to remove the capital allowance from. If the 2/3 is less than the actual capital allowance, that means the capital allowance you are going to remove from the profit will be that 2/3. 2/3 times this profit available, this 131,405, 2/3 of it will give us 87,603. It's less than the actual capital allowance. That means that is what I'm going to minus from the profit as capital allowance. Assuming it's more than the capital allowance, how much am I going to minus as the capital allowance?
Everything.
I'm going to minus 98 million as the capital allowance. What I'm saying is, assuming 2/3 of 131,405 is more than the actual capital allowance, how much is the actual capital allowance?
98.
If the 2/3 of 131,405 is more than the actual capital allowance, how much am I going to minus as capital allowance?
98 million.
But if the 2/3 is less, is that less amount I'm going to minus? In this case, the 2/3 is less than the actual capital allowance. When you minus the 2/3 from the actual capital allowance, the balance is called capital allowance carry what? Carry forward. You can see the balance of 10,000. If you find the difference between actual capital allowance and the restricted capital allowance, there is a balance of how much? 10,000. That balance, 10,397. That balance will be the capital allowance carry forward. Now, when you minus the 87,603 from the profit available, you have a taxable profit or total profit of 43,802. Taxable profit or total profit of how much? 43,802. That will be your final profit. Now you can now complete your tax liability. The major requirement is for us to complete the tax liability. The first type of tax this bank will pay, bank is a company, they will pay company income tax. Company income tax at what rate? At 30%. Why do I use 30%? Because the income of a bank, all the income of a bank is more than 100 million. So 30% of your taxable profit, 30% of 43,802, it will give you 13,141,000. That is your company income tax. The other one is what?
Hello, sir. This 1%, this NI, is it as in a tax liability also for banks or for?
I'm coming. The other one is EDT or TET, education tax. Education tax is computed on adjusted profit. Education tax, I use 2% of what? Adjusted profit. 2% of adjusted profit. 2% of 129,005. 2% of 129,005. You will get education tax of 2,580,000.
So I thought it is 3%.
Eh?
I thought it is 3%.
I thought what? You thought what?
CET is 3%.
You thought education tax is 3%.
Yes, sir.
You are right. As at present, education tax is 3%. But this question is for 2020 what?
2021.
As at 2021 year of assessment, what is the education tax rate?
2%.
2%. Do you know the reason why I use 2% now?
Yes, sir.
2% of adjusted profit, 2% of 129,005. It will give you 2,580,000. The next type of tax this bank will pay is called what?
Hello, sir.
NICDA.
Hello, sir.
What do you say? I can hear
I
you.
thought it's 2% of accessible profit.
Adjusted profit, not accessible profit, my sister. According to definition of education tax, if you look at education tax act, it's adjusted profit. Don't go and mind anybody using accessible profit. Or if you read it in any textbook or something, it's adjusted profit. That is what the law says. Sometimes adjusted profit is equal to accessible profit when there is no loss. When there is no loss relief, your adjusted profit is the same thing as accessible profit. So the next thing is NICDA. This one is called what? NICDA. What is NICDA? NICDA means National Information Technology Development Agency levy. Who are the companies that pay NICDA? Who can name them? In my introduction to tax, I've explained NICDA, technology tax. I list the companies that pay NICDA.
Telecommunications, banks, and
Insurance company, payment service solution, and NICDA, because it's a bank, they will pay NICDA 1% of profit before what? NICDA is computed on 1% of profit before tax. That means 1% of your net profit. Your net profit in this question is 92,850,000. So 1% of it will be your NICDA. 1% of 92,850,000. That is your net profit. 1% of your net profit. Bank pay NICDA. If you follow us on our introduction to tax, I explain NICDA. It is paid by some company. One of them is bank.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello? I thought the profit before tax is not the net profit. If you go by their financial statements.
In this question, my sister, profit before tax is the net profit, sir. Is the net profit. Is the net profit. If you look at this question, the profit before tax they're referring to is the net profit. In tax, when we talk about profit before tax, we are referring to net profit. That is what we mean by profit before tax. So, any question? Any question again?
Yes, sir. Please, to get the percentage for CIT, use the accessible profits to judge, Abi.
Turnover. Use turnover to judge. If your turnover is more than 100 million, your CIT rate will be 30%. In this question, if you add all the income of the bank, is giving you about 585 million. It's more than 100 million now. That means CIT rate that they will pay is 30%.
So can we compete for minimum tax in this one also, if at all?
You can compute for minimum tax too. You can compute for minimum tax, my sister. You are free to compute for minimum tax. What is the rate of minimum tax? 0.5%
0.5.
of turnover. That means 0.5% of 585,450. Inside this turnover, if you want to compute minimum tax inside this turnover, you less non-taxable income. Inside this 585,450,000, which one is non-taxable among them? Profit on sale of
sales on.
You less it. You will not count it as part of your turnover. You also less that interest on export loan, 545,425,000. You less it from your 500 million, 585,450. It is the balance that we are going to use to compute minimum tax.
Hello, sir.
Even yes.
Okay, so now, because is it that we are expected to compute minimum tax alongside the other answer, or just in case the examiner requested that we compute minimum tax that you are saying this?
Well, for you to get more mark, you can test for minimum tax. Anytime you are computing the normal tax, you compute the minimum tax. You compare the minimum tax with what? With the company income tax. The company income tax is 131 million, 13 million, 141,000. You compute the minimum tax, you compare. That means the higher between the minimum tax and the company income tax is what the company will pay as company income tax. Do you understand?
Yes.
Any question again? In the absence of no question, let's look at one more question and we go. That one is the major question. We look at it. Question 9. Question 9. Somebody should help us read. Babatunde Bank Limited.
Babatunde Bank Limited has its registered office in Lagos, commenced business operation on the 1st April 2021, and decides to prepare its account to 30th November of every year. The audited account of the bank for the first 20 months show the following results. All figures are assumed to be correct.
Okay. You are required to compute the tax liability, Abi, for the bank for the relevant year of assessment. This question of Babatunde Bank Limited, it commenced business when? When does it commence business? 1st of April 2021. That means we are going to follow commencement through. First and foremost, one of our working notes that we are going to do, we need to know the year of assessment and the basis period. We need to know what? Year of assessment and basis period. In this question of Babatunde, we need to know the year of assessment and basis period. The first year of assessment, when somebody starts business 1st of April 2021, the first year of assessment will be year 2022, Abi? From the date of commencement up to the end of accounting year. Second year of assessment, from the beginning of the accounting year up to the second year of accounting year. Third one. So in this question, Babatunde Bank Limited, if you look at the account given to us, the financial results given to us, one is starting from April 2021 and ending November what? 2022. Second account given to us, that one is 1st of December 2021 and ending November 2023. That means second account is 12 months. First account is how many months? From April 2021 to November 2022 is how many months?
8 months.
Eh?
20 months.
20 months. We are going to follow commencement through. But let's go and compute adjusted profit first. Based on this period, let's use them to compute adjusted profits. Let's compute adjusted profits. One of the working notes we have is for us to compute adjusted profit. The net profit for the first year is giving us net loss. Net loss of 549 million. While the second period is giving us a profit of 2,148,500,000 for us to get the adjusted profit. Add the salary expenses. In the question now, let's go to the expenses side. Let's go and look for the salary expenses in the expenses side. They have income, they have expenses. The expenses side, number one expenses side is interest expenses. Is it allowed? Is interest expenses allowable? Yes, it's allowed. Salaries and wages, allowed. Rent, allowed. Are we? What about depreciation? Is it allowed?
No.
No. That will be the first disallowable expenses. Depreciation. Depreciation. Repair and maintenance, is it allowed?
Yes.
Yes. Provision for bad debt specific, is it allowed?
Yes.
Yes. Provision for charges in finance lease, is it allowed?
No.
No.
Under special disallowable expenses, can you remember? One of those disallowable expenses under special disallowable expenses, advance in finance lease is not allowed. If you look at the notes, under that special disallowable expenses, provision for finance lease is not allowed. Other allowable expenses is allowed. It's allowed. Also, that means in this place, we have how many disallowable expenses? Depreciation, number one. Provision for advance lease. We have 2 disallowable expenses. So let's check the solution. My disallowable expenses is 2. Add disallowable expenses, other disallowable expenses. You can see I have depreciation. That is number 1. I have provision charge in finance lease. That is number 2. Why computing adjusted profit? Add disallowable expenses, less what?
Allowable
Add
expense.
less
Less
what?
non-taxable income.
Less non-taxable income. That will take us to the income side to check the non-taxable income. That will take us to the income side to check the non-taxable income side. Number 1 income that we have under the income side. Number 1 income that we have. Interest income that we have. Interest on money call or short-time deposit, short-time notice. Is it taxable or non-taxable? Money call is a normal business of a bank. It's taxable. What about interest income from treasury bill? Is it taxable or non-taxable?
Non-taxable.
Why?
From government. It's called income from government.
Yes, it is not taxable. I agree with you, my people. Gain on disposal of government security. Is it taxable or non-taxable? If something is coming from the government,
Not
non-taxable.
taxable.
Bankers acceptance. Is it taxable or non-taxable? It's taxable. Bankers acceptance is part of income of a bank. Trust receipt is taxable. It's part of income of a bank. Note. Interest on loan for export. That one has a note. We go and check the note. We also have another one. Interest on loan for agric. That one has a note. We go and check the note. Interest on loan for local plants. That one too has a note. We go and check the notes. Other interest is taxable. We are not told. Under the other income, we have foreign exchange gain is taxable. What about this one called profit on sale of fixed asset? Is it taxable or non-taxable?
Non-taxable.
Taxable.
Non-taxable. You will check the income side one by one. You can see how I'm checking the income. Commission received, is it taxable or non-taxable?
Taxable.
Taxable. Rental income on lease, is it taxable or non-taxable? It's taxable. Gain on revaluation, asset revaluation, is it taxable or non-taxable?
Not taxable.
Why is it non-taxable?
It's a
All
capital
this
item.
IRS, all this impairment, gain on revaluation, clinical surplus, and so on like that. if you put it as part of your income in bank or any company, if you make a gain on asset revaluation, the question is, who you pay the gain? Is it cash item? It's not taxable because it does not involve movement of cash. It's as a result of asset valuation. Who do you pay the gain? Who do you receive the income? It is not taxable. Anything on impairment, revaluation is not taxable. We in tax, we don't base on IFRS that we said your asset has increased in value, revalue it, and you now make a gain. The question is, do you actually collect the money? Do you actually receive the gain? So it is not taxable. Now, the one that we need to go to the notes and check whether it's taxable or non-taxable, they are 3 in number. There is a note on them. First one, let's start from the last one. Interest on local plant and machinery. On a loan to local plant and machinery. Note 4. Interest on a loan to local plant and machinery. Note 4. Look at the loan to local plant and machinery. Note 4. Let me remove this by loan to local plant and machinery. Look at the notes. Note 4. Somebody should help me read the notes.
Interest to company engaged on fabrication of plants with a base lending rate 23%. Period ended 30th November 2022. Grace period 12 months. Rate 19%. Year ended 30th November 2023. Grace period 18 months. Rate 21%.
Look at it. This bank give a loan to a company engaged in fabrication of local plant and machinery. The base lending rate is 23%. For the first loan, oh, my laptop is off already. What do we do? What do we do? Sorry, who can help me share the material? My laptop is off already. The battery is low. Thank you very much. So looking at this, the first one, period ended 30th November 2022. It has a moratorium period of 12 months, grace period of 12 months, and the lending rate of 19%. Such interest, is it going to be exempted from tax or subjected to tax for fabrication of local plant and machinery?
Subjected to tax.
Why is it subjected to tax?
The grace period is not up to 18 months.
The grace period is less than 18 months. The grace period is less than 18 months. The second one, the grace period is this place that I want to write, that I write 15% is a mistake. I corrected it yesterday. I don't know whether I've not sent the updated material. It's 18 months. This place that I write 15 months is 18 months. Somebody can help me correct that now. 18 months. Yes, it's 18 months, not 15 months. The second one, the moratorium period is 18 months. The interest rate is 21%. Is it exempted from tax or subjected to tax?
Exempted.
It is exempted from tax. That means first one is subjected to tax. Second one is exempted from tax because the moratorium period is 18 months. Now, let's go to The next one is note 3. Let's go to note 3. On agreed loan. On the agreed loan, the interest on agreed loan obtained on June 2021 for 10 months with moratorium period of how many period? 21 months. Why one obtained in March 2023 with a grace period of how many months?
11.
11 months. But the interest rate is no more than the base lending rate. For the interest on agreed loan, two of them, the interest rate is no more than the base lending rate. But we want to use moratorium period to determine whether it will be exempted or subjected. Look at the first one. The moratorium period is 21 months. Is it exempted or subjected?
Exempted.
It is exempted because the moratorium period is less than 12. The moratorium period is more than 12
More than
months.
12 months, yes.
Why the second one would be subjected? Because the moratorium period is less than 12 months. Do you understand?
Yes.
So let's go to the solution, the adjusted profit. Let's go to let me scroll to the adjusted profit. The adjusted profit. You can scroll down to the you can see scroll down. Adjusted profit. So for the adjusted profit now, under non-taxable income, number one non-taxable income I have for the adjusted profit. We are in the adjusted profit now. Number one taxable income I have. Go to the non-taxable income. Non-taxable income. Number one non-taxable income is treasury bill. Number two, gain on disposal of government security. Number three is what? Profit on sale
of fixed assets.
Why number four is what?
Gains on asset revaluation.
Yes. Number five, interest on loan for exports. How I get this money, this 57,600,000 and 108,200. How I get it? There's a workings. I have to follow above 7 years, 70%, 5 to 7 years, 40%, 2 to 4 years, 10%. There's a schedule on how I get this. Do you understand?
Let's go down.
Yes, we can go down to check. You can see the interest on export loan. First one, period ended 30th November 2022. Above 7 years, 50,000. 70% of 50,000, 35,000. 5 to 7 years, 18 months. 5 to 7 years, 18 months. 45,000 is the interest amount. 40% of it, 18 million. Why 2 to 4 years, 12 months, 46,000. 10% of it, 46,000. 4,006. If you add the three of them together, it will give you 57,600. You people know how we get the rates, Abby? The rate is stated in the note I gave you. 70%, 40%, 10%. The second one, year ended 30th November 2023. Above 7 years, 80,000, 70% of it, 56. Five to 7 years, 120. 40% of it, 4,008. Why the next one is 2 to 4 years, 42,000. 10% of it, 4,002. That is how I get this. At the end of the day, the total is 108,200. Go back to the adjusted profit. So if you less all your non-taxable income, scroll down. Your adjusted profit for the first one is going to give you adjusted loss of 717,600. While the second one will give you adjusted profit of 934,800. After you get your adjusted profit, you will now go and compute your capital allowance. You will go and compute your capital allowance. But ladies and gentlemen, by God's grace, maybe on Tuesday, during the week, which time do you normally have a free lecture? So that we can complete this question. Within 30 minutes, we do the capital allowance, we conclude the task for better understanding. But I will give us as an assignment. Please go and study this question very well. During the week, anytime we have a free lecture, I will discuss with admin. We continue so that we finish it. There is still a lot for us to understand in this question, but I'm giving you as an assignment, study it very well. Apart from this, let me scroll down. There's an assignment I want to give you on bank. Scroll down to the last. There's an assignment on bank I want to give. I will still solve this question. I will continue from where I stopped from this question.
Is it here or I should continue to scroll?
Scroll down.
Okay then. I saw.
Yes, assignment 1. Please go and study the question. That assignment 1. You solve it, send the solution to me by WhatsApp. Assignment 1. Solve it, send the solution to me by WhatsApp. So I will ask the admin, during the week, which time do we have free lecture? Just 1 hour. We will not spend more than 1 hour or 50 minutes to conclude this question, so that by next week Sunday, we move to taxation of insurance. I don't want us to carry this question of bank to taxation of next week Sunday. Or today, do we have a free period in the evening? Within 40 minutes, we are done with this question we are solving. So I will discuss that with admin. But my assignment by next week Sunday, latest by next week Sunday, it should be submitted. So
please, which assignment?
Assignment question 1, page 67. You can see now, assignment 1, page 67. Please try to solve that question. It's on bank. Solve it, send the solution to my WhatsApp. I will do the correction. So this question we are solving, we need to finish it, but time cannot permit us. I'm having another lecture very soon. So thank you for having me.